The Eloise Paris boutique was not just a store, it was a sanctuary for the ultra-wealthy, a shrine to extravagance where luxury wasn't just sold, it was enforced. From the outside, it was discreet, almost modest, but beyond its doors lay a different world. Inside, plush leather seats invited only those deemed worthy. Imported rugs softened every step, and shelves sparkled with designer treasures most could only dream of. The air itself seemed expensive, infused with a rich woody fragrance, while soft jazz drifted through the space like a whispered warning. If you have to ask the price, you don't belong. Ensuring those unwritten rules were followed to the letter was Victoria, the boutique's formidable manager. Impeccably dressed in a tailored black suit and designer heels that echoed power with every step, she was more than an employee, she was the gatekeeper of status. Her sharp gaze missed nothing. Her job wasn't just to sell clothes, it was to preserve the boutique's prestige at all costs. The soft chime of the entrance bell rang. Victoria turned instinctively, eyes narrowing. Sandra Bullock, though her identity was hidden, stepped in wearing a simple white hoodie, plain sweatpants, and a black cap. Sunglasses shielded her face, her brown hair was casually tied back. In most places, she would have blended in. Not here. Not in Eloise Paris, where casual was code for unwelcome. Victoria's jaw tightened. A tourist, she thought dismissively. Another window shopper hoping to snap photos of clothes she'd never buy. She excused herself from a VIP client mid-sentence, gliding toward the new arrival with measured steps. Behind the counter, Emily, a young sales associate, watched nervously. She had seen Victoria's judgment in action before, but today, something felt different, unfair. Sandra wandered leisurely, fingertips grazing fine silks and satins. She admired the craftsmanship, she loved fashion, but she loathed the superiority games people played around it. Victoria's voice sliced through the air, "Can I help you?" The tone was polite, but undercut with cool condescension. Sandra turned, her face calm. "Oh, thank you. I'm just looking," she replied softly. Victoria smiled, all teeth and pretense. "Just so you're aware," she began, her words dripping with faux sweetness, "we only carry exclusive made-to-measure pieces. Nothing here is displayed by chance." The implication was clear. This place is not for you. Sandra's lips quirked, amusement flickering in her gaze. "I imagine it's not," she said evenly. Victoria blinked, momentarily thrown off. Most people would have taken the hint and left. Why wasn't she leaving? But Sandra remained, deliberately reaching for a sleek black dress, one of the boutique's most coveted new collection pieces. Its price tag alone could buy a car. Sandra studied it thoughtfully. That was enough. Victoria's patience snapped. Turning discreetly, she beckoned Emily. "Keep an eye on that woman," she murmured. Emily hesitated. "But why?" Victoria sighed, exasperated. "Emily, she's ruining the experience for our real customers." Emily's stomach twisted with discomfort, but she nodded silently. Across the room, whispers began to swirl. Two impeccably dressed VIP clients sipped champagne on a velvet sofa, murmuring, "Did you see her outfit? A hoodie? In here. She looks like she got lost on her way to the gym." Sandra felt the judgment, even if the words didn't reach her ears. Always the same, she thought grimly. But she didn't react. Not yet. Victoria, however, wasn't done. Her high heels clicked purposefully as she approached again. "Mom," she said with that rehearsed too-perfect smile, "I noticed you seem interested in that dress." Sandra glanced over. "Yes, it's beautiful." "I agree," Victoria replied, voice smooth. "But perhaps I could suggest something that better suits your style?" Sandra arched a brow. "My style." Victoria's posture stiffened. "We have some more casual pieces, something you might feel more comfortable in." Across the room, Emily's pulse quickened. This wasn't just subtle exclusion anymore, it was overt. Sandra, however, only smiled a knowing, almost dangerous smile. "You think I wouldn't be comfortable in this?" she asked, tone calm but pointed. Victoria faltered for just a second but recovered. "I just meant that I can't afford it." Sandra's voice was soft, but the question hit like a slap. The boutique fell into a thick, uneasy silence. A sales associate busied herself restocking shelves, eyes averted. The VIP clients stopped whispering, ears perked. Emily held her breath. Victoria, for all her training, wasn't used to being challenged. Still, she pressed on. "Mom, I was simply suggesting something more appropriate for someone like me." Sandra finished for her. Victoria's smile thinned. "Some of our clients might feel uncomfortable." And there it was. The line drawn in the sand. "You don't belong here." Sandra's gaze didn't waver. She took a slow breath, eyes flicking toward the bottle of champagne on a nearby table poured for someone else, never offered to her. Funny, she murmured, voice cool, because when I walked in, no one offered me champagne. The weight of those words crashed over the boutique like a tidal wave. Sales associates glanced at each other. The VIP clients exchanged wide-eyed glances. Everyone knew the protocol. Every valued customer was offered a glass upon entry. Sandra Bullock had been offered nothing. Victoria's face blanched. That must have been a mistake, she stammered. I can have a glass brought to you, no need, Sandra interrupted, folding the dress over her arm. I've already seen everything I needed to see. Victoria swallowed hard, trying to regain control. Well, if you'd like to try it on, I can call someone to assist. Sandra turned to Emily instead. What do you think? She asked gently. Would this dress look good on me? Emily's heart pounded. Her gaze flicked to Victoria, then back to Sandra. Slowly, she nodded. Yes, she whispered. It would look incredible. Victoria's composure cracked. This wasn't supposed to happen, yet here she was cornered in her own kingdom. The walls of superiority were closing in. Sandra just smiled. Because this was only the beginning. Sandra's soft, controlled laughter echoed through the boutique like a ripple across still water. It wasn't loud, nor mocking, but it was enough. Enough to make Victoria's spine tingle with a chill she couldn't quite place. I see, Sandra murmured, amusement flickering in her gaze. Thanks for the suggestion. Without waiting for a response, Sandra turned away and continued browsing, her movements calm but deliberate. Every gesture, every glance at the display seemed to test Victoria's patience. And then, as if daring her further, Sandra reached for a black silk dress, an elegant piece from the latest collection. Its price tag astronomical. Victoria's eyes latched onto her like a predator sighting its prey. Victoria inhaled slowly, masking her simmering irritation beneath the polished facade. Her heels clicked against the marble floor as she approached, each step calculated. She stopped beside Sandra, gaze sliding up and down, dissecting her appearance, baggy sweatshirt, cap pulled low, unworthy. And then came the smile, sharp, venomous, condescending. Are you sure you want to try on that dress? The words hung in the air like a trap. Sandra's brows lifted, but she didn't respond immediately. Victoria seized the pause. I just mean this particular design requires a certain posture, she said smoothly, a grace that brings out its natural elegance, and of course the right accessories. Her gaze flitted pointedly to Sandra's casual attire, the sweatshirt, the cap, the sneakers. Then came the soft, amused chuckle. I could suggest something more appropriate for your profile. The insult was clear, direct. Sandra caught it instantly, but instead of bristling, she smiled. So this is how far you'll go, she thought. Let's see how deep you'll dig your own grave. Holding the dress thoughtfully, she turned. And what exactly do you mean by that? Victoria's smile didn't waver, but her eyes gleamed with smug superiority. Just that, she began. Tone syrupy sweet, this kind of piece is designed for women who know how to wear it. Sandra's lips pressed into a line. Women who know how to wear it, she echoed. Victoria nodded, confidence swelling. Yes, women who understand the sophistication of haute couture, who recognize the cuts, the fabrics, she gestured vaguely. Women who don't need help understanding the value of a dress like this. A heavy silence thickened the air. Sandra took a slow, measured breath. Being treated like an ordinary shopper she didn't mind, but this was disdain. Judgment. And it said everything about Victoria. So Sandra murmured, gaze steady, you think I don't understand. Victoria's smile stretched wider. I think some people mistake this boutique for just any store. It was the line in the sand. You don't belong here. You never did. Sandra tilted her head, feigning curiosity. So in your opinion, I shouldn't be here. Her voice was calm, controlled, but a spark glimmered beneath the surface. Oh, I would never say that, Victoria replied, tilting her head just so. But some of our clients might feel uncomfortable. There it was. No more hints, no more polite veneer. You're making people uncomfortable. You should leave. Sandra's lips pressed together. So this is what you've decided, ha? For a beat, she said nothing, then let out a slow, deliberate sigh. Victoria thought she'd won. Thought the woman before her would slink away, humiliated. But then Sandra looked her dead in the eyes and said the words that made the entire boutique freeze. Funny, because when I walked in, no one offered me champagne. Silence, deafening, suffocating silence. Sales associates stiffen. Emily, standing at the counter, swallowed hard, eyes darting between them. The two VIP clients on the velvet sofa exchanged wide-eyed glances. Champagne. Every valued client was offered a glass upon entry. It was boutique protocol. And Sandra Bullock had been offered nothing. Victoria's face went pale. For a flicker of a second, her composure cracked, but she recovered, quick and breathless. "That must have been a mistake," she stammered. "Of course I can have a glass brought to you right away," Sandra smiled, but it wasn't kind. "It was a blade." "No need," she said softly, each word slicing through the tension. "I've already seen everything I needed to see." Victoria's stomach twisted. Control was slipping. Desperate to claw back, she pivoted. "Well," she forced a light laugh, "if you're interested in trying that dress, I can call someone to assist." Her gaze flicked to Emily. "Emily, please take this piece to the fitting room. See if we have an appropriate size." The message was clear. She's not the right size. Not refined enough. Emily froze, throat tightening. A few clients smirked, not because they found it funny, but because watching someone be humiliated was too tempting to look away. Sandra's gaze didn't flinch. Arms crossed, dress still draped over her arm, she scanned the room. Every eye was on them now. Some clients leaned in, enjoying the spectacle. Others shifted uncomfortably. Because if this woman, this stranger, could be treated like this, what did that say about them? Sandra exhaled slowly. "You know," she said, voice low but carrying, "this is fascinating." Victoria's smile faltered. Sandra's eyes cut to Emily. "What do you think? Would this dress look good on me?" Emily's pulse pounded in her ears. Her gaze flicked to Victoria, expecting a glare, but something twisted inside her. "This isn't right." Taking a breath, she lifted her chin. "Yes," she said firmly. "It would look incredible." The boutique seemed to tilt. Victoria's world tilted. Her own assistant, her subordinate, had contradicted her. In front of everyone. Sandra smiled. That did it. The shift was subtle but absolute. Victoria wasn't in control anymore. "Well," Victoria snapped, voice tightening, "since you're so interested, why don't you try it on? Let's see if it works for you." Her tone dripped with disdain, like she wanted Sandra to embarrass herself. "Go ahead, Phil. I'll watch." But Sandra just tilted her head. "Oh, honey, you have no idea. The walls of judgment, the layers of arrogance." Sandra could feel them crumbling, slowly, surely. Victoria had thought this was her battleground, her stage. But she was about to lose the entire show. If you find these stories inspiring and they motivate you to take action, please comment 9. If not, comment 0. Your feedback means a lot to us. Thank you for your valuable time. Victoria's jaw tightened, but her pride wouldn't let her back down. Not now. Not when all eyes were on her, waiting to see how she'd handle this unexpected challenge. With a breath that reeked of forced composure, she tilted her head, voice laced with saccharine sweetness. "You know, she began in a falsely casual tone. "We have a more affordable store just 3 blocks from here. Perhaps it would be easier to find something that suits your style better." The blow landed like a slap in the face. Even Emily, standing silently behind the counter, held her breath, chest tightening. Sandra's lips parted in disbelief, a quiet, disbelieving laugh slipping out. "Did you just suggest I go to a cheaper store?" she asked. Voice calm, but beneath the calm was a storm. Victoria didn't flinch. She pressed on, smile sharpening like a blade. "I just think some clients prefer something more practical and comfortable," she said, pausing just enough to let the insult sink in. And then came the final line, one she thought would seal Sandra's exit. "After all, luxury isn't for everyone." The silence that followed was crushing. Even the most talkative VIP clients didn't know how to react. Sales associates shifted uncomfortably, eyes darting away as if looking anywhere but at the unfolding scene would somehow make them invisible. Emily felt her stomach drop. This has gone too far, she thought. But Sandra, she just kept smiling. Not the warm, amused smile from before. No, this was different. This was dangerous. And then she moved. Without a word, Sandra took the black silk dress, draped it over her arm, and strode purposefully toward the register. Her steps were measured, unhurried, deliberate. Victoria's brow furrowed. "What are you doing?" she asked, voice catching despite herself. Sandra stopped at the counter, gaze flicking briefly to the register before returning to Victoria with piercing calm. "I'll take it," she said. Just 3 words, but they echoed through the boutique like a bombshell. Everyone held their breath. Victoria let out a scoffing laugh, nervous, forced. "Really?" she challenged, disbelief tinged with the note of desperation. Sandra nodded, unfazed. "Yes," she replied smoothly. After all, luxury may not be for everyone. She reached up, fingers hooking onto her sunglasses, but I'm pretty sure it's for me. And then she removed them. Gasps rippled across the boutique like a wave crashing onto the shore. One VIP client clutched her pearls. Another whispered, eyes wide, oh my God. Without the sunglasses, everyone recognized her, Sandra Bullock, the Hollywood star, an icon. Victoria's world crumbled. Color drained from her face, horror sinking in, her breath caught in her throat. She had just publicly humiliated one of the most powerful women in the entertainment industry. And now everyone in the boutique knew it. The silence was suffocating. The kind of silence that presses against your chest and refuses to let go. Victoria's mouth opened to speak, but nothing came out. And then the doors opened again. The familiar chime rang out, but this time the air changed. The atmosphere thickened, electric with tension and disbelief. Heads turned, eyes darted toward the entrance, and he walked in. Slow, steady, purposeful. Keanu Reeves. His long black coat swayed gently with each step, hair tousled in that effortlessly cool way only he could pull off. His gaze sharp, unwavering, scanned the room. But there was no surprise in his eyes, no confusion. He knew. He knew exactly what had happened here, and he knew exactly who he was looking for. Without so much as glancing at anyone else, Keanu crossed the boutique, his every step echoing like a drumbeat in the stunned silence. The IP clients covered their mouths in shock. Sales associates froze mid-breath. Emily's heart raced. This wasn't just a scene, it was something no one would forget. And then, he stopped, right in front of Sandra. No words, no hesitation. He pulled her into a hug, strong, genuine. The kind of embrace that spoke of years of friendship, of shared history, of trust. Sandra hugged him back, a soft, knowing smile curving her lips. Victoria's knees nearly buckled. What? What was happening? Not just Sandra Bullock, but Keanu Reeves too. Together? It's been too long, Bullock, Keanu murmured as he pulled back, voice warm with familiarity. Far too long, Sandra smiled. And then he looked around. He took in the boutique, the stunned faces, the gaping mouths. And finally his gaze locked onto Victoria. She froze. Because in that moment, Keanu Reeves knew. He didn't have to ask. He saw it in Sandra's expression, in the tight-lipped staff, in Emily's nervous stare. He knew exactly what Victoria had done. Turning back to Sandra, Keanu spoke calm, even but every syllable dripped with biting irony. I hope they treated you well. The impact was instantaneous. His CIP client shifted, glancing pointedly at Victoria. Emily bit her lower lip, tension radiating from her every muscle. Sales associates stilled, no one dared breathe. Everyone knew the answer. Everyone knew what had just happened. And now so did Keanu Reeves. Victoria's lips trembled. Say something. Fix this. But no words came. Her voice, so confident just minutes ago, was gone. What could she possibly say now? Sandra let out a slow, quiet laugh, not cruel, but filled with something far worse, absolute certainty. Her gaze never left Victoria's. Oh yes, she said, voice soft but cutting like a blade. They were unforgettable. The words sliced through the air like a knife. Not shouted, not angry, just true. And in that truth, Victoria's entire world collapsed. Victoria's face burned with shame, her mind scrambling for something, anything to salvage what was left of her dignity. Words hovered on the tip of her tongue, desperate to form an excuse, an apology, a lifeline. But before she could speak, the worst thing imaginable happened. An impeccably dressed blonde VIP client, known for her influence in the fashion world, turned to one of the sales associates and murmured just loud enough for everyone to hear. If they treat Sandra Bullock like this, imagine how they treat the rest of us. The words sliced through the boutique like a blade. A hush fell thick and suffocating. Victoria's stomach dropped. That comment, it wasn't just a jab, it was a nail in the coffin. She had spent years building her reputation, curating an aura of untouchable authority. And now, in mere minutes, it was crumbling. Her phone vibrated in her hand, the buzzing a relentless reminder that the outside world was watching, judging. Swallowing hard, she finally reacted. You have to fix this. Say something, anything. Taking a deep breath, she forced what she hoped was a polite smile. Miss Bullock, she began, her voice trembling despite her best efforts. I had no idea who you were. The moment the words left her mouth, she regretted them. Sandra crossed her arms, eyebrows raised. And that should justify something, she asked, tone calm but razor sharp. Victoria's lips parted, searching for a response but found none. For the first time, she realized how absurd she sounded. No, this isn't happening. She tried again, voice faltering. It was a mistake, a misunderstanding. Keanu tilted his head, raising an eyebrow. His tone was low but carried the weight of a gavel striking wood. A misunderstanding. The boutique collectively held its breath. I just wanted to ensure our experience was selective, Victoria stammered, desperately clinging to a sinking ship. Sandra let out a soft, humorless laugh. Oh, so now you get to decide who deserves respect. Victoria's breath caught. You've lost. Keanu stood beside Sandra, silent but exuding quiet authority. He didn't need to speak. His gaze said it all. This was indefensible. The staff, once obediently aligned with Victoria, now refused to meet her eyes. The VIP clients, previously charmed by her assertiveness, looked at her with thinly veiled disgust. This boutique, my kingdom, it feels like a cage. Her phone buzzed again. No, please. She glanced at the screen. A message from the boutique owner. Victoria, we have a serious problem. I need to speak with you immediately. Her heart pounded. Panic clawed at her chest. They've seen the video. She didn't even want to imagine how many views it had, but reality struck harder and faster than she could brace for. Another VIP client stood abruptly, designer handbag slung over her shoulder. Her voice rang out clear and decisive. I don't shop at places that mistreat their customers, she declared. Without another word, she strode toward the exit, heels clicking like a countdown to Victoria's professional execution. Victoria's throat tightened. I'm losing them. Another client followed suit. If this happened to her, it could happen to any of us, she murmured. The ripple turned into a wave. Conversation swelled into murmurs of discontent. Sales associates exchanged nervous glances, shifting uncomfortably. The boutique, once a sanctuary of luxury and status, now felt like a courtroom, and Victoria was defendant, surrounded by jurors who had already reached their verdict. And then the final blow. Emily, her loyal assistant or so, Victoria thought, took a slow, steady breath. Without looking directly at her manager, she removed her name tag. No. The small clink as she placed it on the counter echoed louder than any shout. I can't work here anymore, Emily said, her voice soft but unwavering. Victoria's eyes widened. Emily, she whispered, a plea hidden beneath layers of shattered pride. But Emily didn't hesitate. She turned to Sandra and Keanu, offering a smile. May I walk you both to the exit? Sandra smiled back. Of course. As they made their way toward the doors, clients and employees alike watched, not with pity, but with something worse, disappointment. This can't be happening. But it was. The woman who once prided herself on deciding who belonged now stood rooted in place, powerless, as everyone walked out, leaving her behind. The boutique door chimed as it closed. The room, once bustling with energy, was now hollow and cold, but the worst was yet to come. Meanwhile, across the city, a cozy cafe hummed with quiet conversation. Sandra sipped her coffee. Keanu relaxed beside her. Emily, no longer an employee, but now a welcome companion, sat across from them, still processing the whirlwind of the day. So, Emily, Sandra began, warmth returning to her voice. What's next for you? Emily shrugged, a hint of flyness lingering. I don't know, maybe I'll find somewhere I can actually learn and grow. Keanu smiled. Turns out I know a few people who could help with that. Emily's eyes widened. Really? Sandra chuckled. We like helping those who deserve it. Sandra's phone buzzed. Another message. She glanced at it and read aloud. The boutique manager has been officially fired. The video now has 20 million views. Keanu let out a low whistle. Their gazes met, a knowing look passed between them. Sandra set her cup down, her final words carrying weight beyond the cafe walls. Some people think luxury is power, she said softly, but real power is knowing how to treat people with respect. Keanu nodded. Emily smiled, hope sparking in her eyes. And across the city, in a dim apartment, Victoria sat on the edge of her bed, phone in hand. Her world status, pride, the career she'd built lay in ruins. The internet was relentless, judgment swift, forgiveness nowhere in sight. How did it come to this? Her phone buzzed once more. This time she didn't check it. Couldn't. The truth echoed in her mind. Dignity mattered more than status. And today she'd learned that the hard way. Life often teaches us profound lessons through seemingly simple situations. This story is a powerful reminder of an age-old truth. Never judge a person by their appearance. Clothes don't define a person. True value lies in one's character, kindness, and how they treat others. Power doesn't come from status or wealth. It comes from the respect you give to others. A sincere glance, a kind word sometimes holds more strength than any amount of money or title. In life, everyone can make mistakes, but arrogance and discrimination are double-edged swords. They not only hurt others, but can also destroy everything you've worked hard to build. A single act of disrespect, no matter how small, can deal a devastating blow to your reputation and career. On the other hand, kindness and fairness are always appreciated. People may forget compliments, but they never forget an act of compassion during tough times. Life is short. Why not live with gentleness and empathy? Be someone who brings joy to others, not someone who causes them pain. Sometimes just a gentle word is enough to warm the heart of someone who's weary. Remember, true wealth isn't measured by how much money you have, but by how open your heart is. And the greatest form of power isn't making others fear you. It's earning their respect through genuine kindness. In this fast-paced, competitive world, choose to live with compassion, because that is the most lasting legacy you can leave behind.